Hello and welcome to week 6. Now, this week I've titled The Easy Way to Create an Online Course. And you may not be one to create an online course. However, what this week will look at are various components around how do you create content, how do you house it, how do you take payment, that sort of thing. And within that, I'm going to be showing you how I put together and run this very course. So we're going to be looking step by step through some of these things. Now, I don't claim to be an e-commerce person. This is not an e-commerce course. Certainly there's things here that may require you to do some additional self-instigated training, particularly things like video editing and that, if that's something that interests you. However, it is fairly straightforward, and I can provide some links around that within this training based on that for you. Take a deep breath though. We don't have to go down that path. If you want to, you can easily create a course that's solely based around audio and taking all the information that's in here and create something that people can access straight away and reach more people. So anyway, let's have a look at this. Step 1 is to design your online course. Who is this online course aimed at? Who's the exact demographic, and what is it that they're going to get from being able to do this online course? For instance, if you were to do something around stop smoking, what would that consist of? Would you have perhaps a week there that looks at doing a bit of a diary to get and understand the habits, and perhaps a hypnosis audio that builds them towards being ready for change? And then there might be a week where it's the actual change session, and then it's a week after that where it might be about maintaining that motivation to remain a healthy, happy non-smoker. There could be a whole lot of different ways that you could approach that, and that's completely up to you. One of the things that I really like to use, though, is an online tool called Trello. And Trello helps to be able to plan out what you're going to do with your course. Now, if I go into my Trello here, this is the actual Trello board for this course. You can see that I created one that's about pre-workshop, and then I had week 1, week 2, and within each of these weeks I was able to create these little notes based on what it is that I was going to talk about. And I can move things around. So for instance, at one point, if I want to move tempo over to here, I can move that into week 3, or I can move it back again as well. Within each of these, if I go into like an introduction there, you can see that I've got bullet points there based on what it is I'm going to talk about within my video as well, so that I know that when I go into here, these are the key points that I need to cover. And then I can go into the next one. They're my key points I need to cover as well. And if I decide that I want to add an additional week there, I can just simply click on here and create week 7 beyond. And then I can add cards in that way. This is where a new card would go based on topic X. And within that card, I can go in there and add more detail or videos or URLs or anything related to that, so that it would be easy for me to go back to when it came time to be able to do that. And you can see here, even for this week, I've kind of got all these videos kind of outlined in terms of what it is that I intend to create. So that's the great thing about Trello, is that it really helps to be able to get a very clear idea about what it is that I'm intending to offer and create. Trello is completely free. You can set up a board really easily. In fact, if I go into my boards, oops, my home, there it is. You can see that I've got all these different kind of things that I've been working on in the background in terms of what I intend to do. I mean, this is the original recording of Hypnotherapist board. And you can see that it goes across up to 21 modules now, with a bit beyond that as well. So there's lots there. There was one I was working on about working for, in this current climate, middle-aged creatives that have lost their jobs and perhaps suffering from, what to do next. You can see that I've clearly labeled in each one what the topic is, and then what are the things I'm going to do within that each section. So that could be really useful in terms of being able to create that online course. So that's something, if you haven't used Trello before, you might want to pause the video here and to go and explore that and to see if it's worth doing. Now, step 2 is about creating content. You know, if it was audio, you already know how to do that. The bulk of this course has been all about using Audacity. If you're creating video, you can use something like your smartphone or webcam in order to record your video content and to edit it from there. Now, you may not have realized this, but each week I've been using a different recording approach. So at the moment, I'm using a Logitech C992 high definition camera, and I'm recording my screen and myself using Zoom. I'm just simply having a meeting with myself and recording that content. Other times I've been using my Mac and using the built-in camera with that and using QuickTime. So there's lots of different ways in which you can easily record your screen yourself. You can use online tools such as Google Drive to produce PowerPoint presentations, which you can then record via a screen recorder or even using Zoom. So right now I'm using Google Drive, and this is a PowerPoint presentation I've created in that, and I'm recording it using Zoom. Really simple and straightforward. If you're creating written content, you can type these up using online tools such as Google Drive again, or there's lots of free Word or Office suite type suites out there. It's strange trying to get that sentence out, and exporting it to a PDF. So ultimately, at the end, you're going to have either MP3s for your audios, you're going to have potentially MP4s for your videos, and you're going to have PDFs for your written content. So that's what you're essentially aiming for there. And you put them all, I would recommend you create a folder on your desktop and putting all of your work in progress within that, so it's all in one place. I know on my desktop I have a Recording for Hypnotherapist 6-week one, broken down to each week so that it's easy for me to find the content that I've been creating as I go. Step 3 is going to be editing your videos. So if you do decide to incorporate video into your course, you are inevitably going to need to edit them. And there are several free options out there that you can download that are going to work across PC and Mac. Now, look, if you have a Mac, you already have iMovie included free on that. And I use iMovie all the time. I think it's just a wonderful piece of free software. I can't speak more highly about it. It has everything you need in it in terms of editing, in terms of, you know, putting captions and titles on, fades, all that sort of thing. So when I go to edit one of these videos, I will create a video of me editing just so you can get a bit of an idea about how quick and easy it is to use. If you're on a PC, then you can download programs like Shotcut, Olive, Kdenlive. They are all free, and you'll be able to find tutorials quite easily on YouTube, although I'll be able to share links to that and some tutorials I found to make it easier for you within this course. When it comes to editing though, essentially what you're going to want to be able to do is to top and tail it. So to cut out the start where you're getting ready, to cut off the end where you're shutting it down, maybe to be able to edit out mistakes in the middle, but that's about essentially it. You don't want it to be overly too complicated. Step 4 is going to be hosting the course. So once you've designed the course and the content is created, you're now ready to determine how you're going to host it so that people can find and engage with it. Now, of course, for this particular course, I've been using Facebook. I've created a group, and within that group, I've said that it was going to be an educational group, and so it has the units on the side, and I've been able to upload the content against those units. And it just meant that as people paid for the course, I allowed them entry into this group, made a private group, entry into it, and simply run it that way. Now, you might do things like perhaps send out a regular email that has the Zoom time on it and then teach the course via Zoom. You could perhaps have a secret page on your website and just upload the content to that. You could send it out via email using MailChimp, or you could look at online existing platforms like Simplero or YesCourse. So we'll have a bit of more of a look at that afterwards as well. I'll go into a bit more detail about each of these things block by block, but I just want to give an overview now as to what these options are so that you can have a sequence in mind as to how it all works. Step 5 is to take payment. So if you're using something like Simplero or YesCourse, they will have a payment gateway on it that you can do with either PayPal or Stripe. If you're using Facebook, then you can do something like setting up a PayPal button which I'll show you how to do. And that's what I did for this particular course. So in my case, I think the next step is promoting your online course. So in my case, what I did was I created a landing page in MailChimp. And within that, I had PayPal buttons within that. So when people clicked on that, it took payment. And then once the payment was made, PayPal took them to a secret page on my website that had the details there about a video from me saying hello and saying go and join this group. At the same time, that PayPal payment came to me, and I could see the email address and what it was payment for, so I could add that to a list in MailChimp and make sure that I emailed out further details from there. That was actually a step that I missed here now that I'm looking at this. So, obviously, how do people find it? Promoting course. Really what should be in here is about a landing page as well. You can create a landing page that people can go to. But you can also promote the group via things like Facebook groups. You can email out to your email list on MailChimp. You can start writing blogs or doing short webinars to build that conversation to gain interest that way. So let's have a look at this very course. So as I mentioned, this entire course was plotted out in Trello well in advance, although the content was generally created each week. So each week, even though I knew what I was creating, I would sit down and create the content. Why? Because sometimes there'd be questions from the Zoom calls or comments from the Zoom calls that would influence and impact what I was creating the following week. I potentially used a variety of recording means to highlight the diversity of ways that you can do that out there. So there's been things like me using my Mac webcam, recording through a USB cam, which I am right now, recording via Zoom. I had screen recorders at some point, using PowerPoints like the one you're looking at now. The landing page for this was set up in MailChimp. And so once I go through all the steps, I'll go back and show you this. Using one of the existing templates and changing the images that I found on Pixabay. And I set up 2 buttons for payment, both through PayPal. One was the full amount and one was for a part payment. There was also a third one for people that paid for the course previously and wanted the refresher. I promoted the course through Facebook social groups, including my existing Recording Fit Therapist one. Many of you here have been through that course and you're here as a refresher. I set up a new group for this course in Facebook and I set it up in units. And then before anyone even got in there, I had that pre-course content in there ready to go. So they found that upon arrival and meant that they could engage with the group straight away. I created a secret page on my website, which is where people were directed to after payment, and had a welcome video and directions to join a group. And as I said, at the same time, PayPal sent me a notification of payment. So I had those details there, so I can easily put that into MailChimp and communicate via email. And then it was simply down to creating content and running the Zooms each week. So this is absolutely a course, or this is absolutely a course. There is absolutely a course in you. Now, what would you create right now that can help your potential clients? Is it going to be stop smoking, or anxiety relief, or self-hypnosis, or even something more niche, imposter syndrome, or sports-based, or anything along those lines? What is there that exists for you that you could help someone with right now? So have a think about that, and hopefully I've broken down each part this week so you can refer back to it as needed, and we'll go from there. I'll see you in the next video.